Last night, Last of Us Season 2 had its debut with episode 1, and it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. We did of course, our post-game show of Last of Us episode 1 last night. Hopefully many of you guys were able to join us. And just, we're probably going to talk in a little bit of spoilery detail because the show did come out last night. We are going to talk a little bit in spoilery detail. So if you don't want to know any of the details that happened in the show, I'm sure most of you watched it already. But if you didn't, you might want to mute your computer and come back when we go on to the next topic. But Rob, one of the things that I said about it was that because there was like a 5-year time jump, it couldn't just pick up where it left off, right? It felt like an episode 1 again. It felt like you have to reestablish now where everything is. Reestablish Jackson. Get us to understand that, hey, the relationship between Ellie and Joel is in a different place right now. All that kind of stuff. So it did feel very much like a premiere in many different ways. But the one big change that a lot of people were talking about, that I'm sure a lot of you guys saw, was introducing Abby right away in the show. And I'll tell you what, I think that was the smartest thing they could do. I 100% think it was the smartest thing you could do. You get us into this character, because one of the things Craig Mazin said, he said, who are the heroes and who are the villains all depends on where you're standing. And I think they wanted to right away at the very start of the season have us as the audience standing in that graveyard with Abby and her survivors, and understand, because Rob, you and I were talking about this before the show started. When you're standing there in that graveyard with them, Joel is not a hero. Joel is an unspeakable monster.
Yeah.
He's not just a villain. He's an unspeakable monster who took away not only Abby's father, but everyone she knew and loved. Same with every one of those people standing in that graveyard.
That had survived an apocalypse together.
Yeah, that had survived an apocalypse together, created a community together, was trying to create hope for humanity together for years. Everyone they knew and loved, one person came along and murdered them all. And so I love what Craig Mazin said. Who are the heroes and who's the villains depends on where you're standing. And if we're standing in that graveyard, Joel is not the hero. Joel is the villain, the monster. And I kind of love that they did that right kicking off the bat. And again, they did such a great job. You can tell they're setting up a bunch of things in the show to set up that things have changed, right? Like we've got Joel in therapy, which I loved. By the way, all hail and take a knee to our queen, Catherine O'Hara, who ruled in this episode so good. She's kind of ruling television right now, between the studio and now in Last of Us. She was absolutely fantastic in that. And then, but you can tell they're setting up a whole bunch of things that we're going to get filled out in flashbacks later. Her husband, what was the breaking point in the relationship between Ellie and Joel, all that kind of stuff is coming. And I just thought it was fabulous. But also, I just kind of wanted to give a quick mention to what I thought was one of the creepiest pieces of cinematography that I've seen on TV in a while. And there's this scene, I won't give you the full context of it, but it's a close-up of Ellie from a side profile as she's walking down an abandoned shopping thing, and she's walking past aisles. And there's a close-up on her face, and you see the aisles in the background as she's going through the aisles. And as she's walking, just as the empty aisle is about to go out of frame because it's following Ellie, you just see... And I'll tell you what, Rob, that freaked me out. I had chills. I thought it was great. And overall, I thought the episode was absolutely fantastic. You had a chance to check it out. How did you feel about the episode?
Like you, I thought every choice that they were making, I mean, obviously a video game is one thing, but when you're watching narrative storytelling in a film or in a show, it's different because you're not the protagonist anymore playing the game. And I think every choice they made dramatically, the Catherine O'Hara scene was really amazing when she says, I'm gonna unburden myself and let me tell you something, and then I was like, wow. And that immediately set up things that are new, that work out. And I think that what they've done is they added emotional depth to the entirety of the story they're telling that might not have existed in The Last of Us 2 video game. The Last of Us 2 video game sets up an event that there's no two sides to that event. There was one side and it triggered everybody. This immediately has now made it from, as Ben Kenobi might say, a certain point of view. Well, things are now from multiple points of view. And what they're leading to is something that's going to be 10 times as tragic and much more understood, where the audience is going to be conflicted as to their feelings. And like you said, starting with Abby, that scene in the graveyard, what a great way to set up, right from the get-go. And you know that the hell is coming. There is a storm coming. And it's a deserved, what's happening has been deservedly so. And I thought that they did a wonderful job of setting up all these different relationships, and all these things are ping-ponging off each other. And I think we're going to get a great, satisfying, dramatic. I never thought I would be so immersed in a story about cordyceps zombies.
Particularly a video game
adaptation,
show.
and showing the evolution of the cordyceps. They talked about it in the after show, like the stalker, and you got to see in the pipes,
that was creepy.
So creepy. And who knows where it's just getting worse and worse and worse. The slow apocalypse gets worse every year.
Did Ellie annoy any of you guys?
Okay. So here's the thing I said in the post-game show. And I said, look, I definitely don't want to make generalities, and I don't want to paint with a big, long brush or too broad of a brush. But one of the things that Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1 really does just reaffirm something that I think all of us already knew. All teenagers are assholes.
Yeah,
every single one, without exception. And as I speak as an expert, because I was once a teenager. And even as a teenager, I knew all of us are assholes. And I like the fact that in this episode, they don't go away that Ellie's this perfect little thing. Like, she could be an asshole because she's a teenager.
Yeah, her bravado but also her recklessness gives me like this real sick feeling when I'm watching it. Like, she's gonna get that whole town in trouble first in somehow, some way. She's gonna bring something that. The one thing that I thought was great is that she is confident now. She is like a badass, right? Like she's training with that guy in the beginning, like getting beat up for fun, and like going into a building with her friend. It's just like, that's all cool with me, but it just, there's also a flip side to it that I think that's gonna bring negative or consequences to a lot of the people around her. The main thing for me was Ellie is gonna get this town in trouble for something.
Well, again, a lot of people know the game and they know the story and they know it's coming. So
I don't.
Yeah, I'll see that. But I also I don't want to gloss over this too. One of the characters, and I mentioned this in the post-game show last night. One of the characters that, clearly Abby is the more important character, but I thought one of the trickiest characters they were going to have to try to deal with was Dina. Because in translating the game to the screen, Dina could very quickly and very easily kind of become this afterthought of a love interest. Isabella Merced crushes it as his character. I liked the casting when they announced her. And then I saw her in Alien Romulus, and I'm like, okay, maybe she could be really good in this. And I'm telling you, Dora the Explorer has found her way.
I thought, yeah.
Can you say fungus? She crushed it in this. And I think one of the most iconic scenes from the game itself is the dance. That's one of the most iconic scenes in the game. How are they going to be able to recreate that? They recreated it. They made me feel the chemistry. There's magic between these two. I absolutely loved the scene, and I thought they knocked it out of the park with that scene.
Because she's wildly appealing to boys and girls. You know, I thought they did a great job at making her a character that, first of all, she's a great actress. Second of all, she's got a very appealing screen presence. But in terms of being a spunky, scrappy, do or die kind of a character, they, like you said, they nailed it with her. And you understand why Ellie could be attracted to her. I mean, there's a
And why the whole town's attracted to her.
100%.
And by the way, how great did they set up the chemistry?
Yeah, the chemistry was great.
She has incredible chemistry with Joel.
Yeah.
Like they threw in that scene. It's like you can, and then he's even talking to the therapist about it. I mean, she says hello to me. I can actually talk to her. And
Right.
and they really set that up beautifully. So I think that was a big win.
Really well done.
Yeah, I have no idea who this Dina character was, but that was probably the best part of the episode for me. Like just the way she played this character. I think moving forward, my problem is because, like you mentioned, the Abby part in the beginning, like they made me understand her angle right away, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with casting Pedro Pascal as Joel. I need to figure out how to detach myself from me liking the actor so much that I'm always going to side with him when I know there's two sides to every story.
Well, that's the thing with
If
the
I
game
can
too.
yeah.
The game too, it's like there was a lot of people who in the game were like, because they already went through the entire first game with Joel, a lot of people are like, I can only side with Joel. And I think there's still going to be a lot of people who are watching this season of the show that'll feel the same way. One of the things I was saying to Rob before the show was that one of the great things Last of Us did at the end of season 1 was they left us as the audience without an answer to a moral question. Did Joel do the right thing? Some people will say yes, like, hey, if you were a father, you would understand. And a lot of people like say no, like they had a chance to save the world and he chose himself and his love for this girl. I can already tell that with Abby, they're trying to set up that same dilemma for the audience. And as Craig Mazin said in the post show, who are the heroes and who are the villains is all going to depend on where you're standing. And I think they're going to force us as the audience to be in those same moral dilemmas. We're going to be asking ourselves those questions. And so far, they're off to a great start. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to watch the first episode of season 2 of The Last of Us? Finally back on TV. Whatever you guys thought, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.